Can be, some people go to church, some people go to a pub, some people stay in a family, some people play soccer. Like you have like the kind of like common space which you connect. And I think if you look behind everything, it is like there is the love for something, you know, and that connection with something. Love is also something funny because it's difficult to explain love as a material thing. Can take so many different shapes. Very lucky to be able to also look out behind what they were keeping alive and just be able to share this feeling of gratitude and abundance with other people.
Diego Milesi,
Yes,
welcome to the Dan Flow.
thank you.
So I think people know you for Ferdinando's.
Yes,
This place on Lower Obs, Lower Main and Obs.
yes.
So pizza-fied.
Traditional. We do pizza traditionally.
Yeah.
I call it my little corner of Italy in Africa.
So wood-fired pizza. That's what I
Yes.
meant to say. So people get, the wafts of the fire and the chatter and so on. And then there's also a couple of streets down. Once a week, we have a pasta kitchen.
Yes.
And I think people know about that in the community, and it's and all of that. But I don't think a lot of people know about a little bit more of your backstory, sort of where you come from exactly in Italy and where you met your wife, and
Yeah.
and I think I want to cover sort of a little bit of your story and the textures and see where we go. Where do you think is a good place to start?
Well, we have this phrase of Ferdinando, so we always say pizza is about love. You know, everything starts with a love story. For for me, as I fall in love with a South African person, as to keep this love going, we decide to make pizzas, and pizza start to kind of like support our relationship and everything what came after, from like the community work we do, the pasta kitchen, the community dinner, and in the later stage, obviously support my small family at the moment, because obviously like I'm been left with my daughter, just the two of us at the current moment. But yeah, everything started from a big feeling. I guess love for life was there to begin, but like, pizza is about love for us. Is like Ferdinando is a thing because we like this connection to love, as many people say, many enlightened persons say that we are love. That's what we are. The feeling. One special thing about human being is probably the love feeling, and that's what can keep everything happening. And say it's because love that the bees go to the flower.
So you're talking about love and pizza. Is it a common? I suppose from an outside, it always seems like it's a very Italian way to sort of love the food and love the people and the company and so on. How much of your philosophy derives from sort of north of Italy where you grew up and family that you had around you, and how much of it is sort of things that you picked up along the way or that you developed in your own time in your own way?
Interesting question. As Italian, we do connect over food. Like that's like really basic. Like we always eat together. Like the fast food culture is not really big in Italy. We taking an hour off. You're sitting down. You have your lunch meal, your lunch working meal, whatever, and then you go back to work. South Africa has got America, this new world has got this like quick food. Sandwich or whatever. Italy is the place when any time of the day, like you have a meal, you have two meal a day. We don't do breakfast, but by lunchtime you sit down and you connect. And when you're sitting at the table, you're just putting off your mask and you're just like, it's just a person, And you can talk to people, open up yourself to people and have that special moment. And then back, mask, not in a bad way, but like if you go back to work, then you need to do
back into the office. Okay.
Yeah.
You're the boss and I'm the employee, and
Yeah,
now
you
you
fulfill
take
your
our
roles.
positions, fill the roles.
Absolutely. So that definitely was there to begin with, because it's a very big thing for me. When I meet my partner, she has Portuguese heritage, so we're lucky enough to share this kind of value, like to connect
Sort of
over food.
Mediterranean
Yes,
sense around food and family and
Absolutely.
eating together.
Then obviously like one thing feed into the other. Like I wasn't like this when I was in Italy, like it's part also the process of growing up and develop your own self and get exposed to life the way you are, and you probably find the things that you want to value, the things that they reconnect to what really matter for you. um, and for me as Italian, for my partners Mediterranean in Africa, food was the way to begin everything. um, and the passion for people, it's like it's not nice to eat by yourself, is it?
No, I've kind of gotten used to it over the years, but so I'm quite comfortable eating by myself, but
Do you?
I do enjoy breaking bread with someone, right?
Yeah.
So when I share a meal, it's not, I don't take it for granted because there's something special about eating with people.
Yeah. Well, I say meal, but like I guess there is many way to connect to people, like that. I think like end of the day you can break it down into we are social beings. It's good to have that exchange. It can be like a few jokes. Can be some people go to church, some people go to a pub, some people stay in a family, some people play soccer. Like you have like the kind of like common space which you connect, and I think if you look behind everything, it is like there is the love for something, and that connection with something. Love is also something funny because it's difficult to explain love as a material thing. Can take so many different shapes. So yeah, for us it's a branding line, Peace is about love, but like I think really believe love is what move anything we do in
But so
our
it's
daily
a
action.
branding line, but it's also true. You actually believe it.
I do live it.
So
Yeah.
I mean, it's a slogan that comes from a real sense of your understanding with food. And
Yeah.
how does that look in practice in, let's say, in the restaurant? If I go there and I have a pizza,
Mm.
how am I gonna sense the difference between a place that just
Should
makes food and a place that
should
puts
come and
love in the
see.
food?
Should come and see. I think yeah, the feeling is in the air. Like it's like you should feel like when people are welcoming you, when people like are doing serve you in a certain kind of way. Happen to me to go to places that you sit down and you just get this is the menu, this is the best dish, this is the special of the day. Thank you very much. Done. Right. Um Honestly, like as a owner of the restaurant, and I try to be there as much as I can, and do that. And I'm very blessed to have like some very good stuff which they can give the same feeling to my customer. So whoever walk into Ferdinando, I think is like feel part of something quite unique. Not well, first of all, the pizza is great, but you don't know that in first place. But we have a very bright, colorful place. This is like quite a busy environment of people get engaged into like looking into things and just make themselves like you don't feel like kind of stiffness of like some very fancy place or rundown place or some kind of like dodgy,
No, no,
you know.
it's very colorful inside, and
Yes, it's colorful. My partner used to put a lots of decoration and lots of little things. Um, we have a lots of first dates, or Tinder dates or whatever you call it nowadays, coming to Ferdinando's, and they get like into the intimate table, and when you like quite like a awkward vibe, and you can see them. It's always something to look at, so you don't just kind of staring at each other. So it's like
like, oh, look, this is pretty.
yeah.
That's
I wonder
nice.
why they put that today. And like, that's in a way help. The pizza does the work. Like when we start to eat the food, then you feel because it's the love as for people. So it's the way you are welcomed. If we're not for spinning around, at some time happen, we're super busy and spinning around, and then we have to kind of like acknowledge you, but then run in and out. Otherwise, like was you there? Not necessarily because I want to try to sell you something, but because I want you to kind of like enjoy your time here. Then the food come in, and the food, Italian food is comforting. That's what I would say yesterday to some customer. Like Italian food is designed to be comfort. If you eat a plate of pasta, if you eat like a pizza, if you eat whatever is like coming, it does born from a home environment and from a very sustainable point of view. Pasta is quite easy to feed a full family of 3, 4, 5, 6, 10 people. You make like a big pot of pasta, you can just get sustain your family. So it's very much sustainable. But then that there is the warmth to it. Like when you're feeling it, obviously you can overdo it and feel like, you cannot roll off the chair because like it's too full. But should deliver like the food should be the part of that, yeah, it's different, interesting to see like how because obviously like I'm talking as an Italian, but I'm in South Africa. South African exposed to food is exposure to food is a little bit different to what I grew up with. The taste buds are different, I notice people here tend to connect a lot over braai, so purely kind of like a 80% meat diet. I became vegetarian through the years. So I can see.
Sure, you're vegetarian in one of the greatest braai countries in the world. And
Yeah, believe it. Where that's come about? It's like I did roast a 30-kilogram pig or 20 kilogram. I think it was 20 kilogram, a piglet, for Christmas one year. And then obviously it was too much meat and we couldn't finish it all in one day. So I found myself walking around town with this like half a pig with the head. So there was the head in the roast. And it was interesting, like to get people. It's like, what is that? Take it off my table. It's like, what? It's don't you eat pork? It's like, no, no, yes. It's like, so what's the problem? I don't want to see the face. I'm like, okay. And I just try to turn it on to show the ass of the ring. But like, that's also for me was like, okay, we a bit detached, like for what that's also my personal choice of being vegetarian. It's like we detach where our meat come from. Who is the meat that you eat? It's not just a meal,
Yeah.
It's a sentient being.
I know the Sun people, the Bushmen, have when they hunt, and they famously run down the prey and then, like, until it's tired and it's just standing there, and then close range shoot it with a bow right between the eyes.
Yeah.
They take care not to let their shadow cast on it, like, and there's a lot of respect, and I like the idea of giving the meat respect.
Absolutely.
I like the idea of when you get a piece of meat to actually think, where does this come from? And, kind of give thanks just in your own way of thinking about it, just to not take it for granted. It's not just another piece of vegetable on your plate.
100%.
But so there is this disconnectedness with a steak that just arrives as a little thing in a package that you buy in the supermarket.
Yeah. I had a friend, dear friend of mine, Chris. He's an animal communicator. Don't know if you're familiar with animal communication.
I know of Horse Whisperer, the movie Horse Whisperer, right? And I know there are people who saw a thing where there was a black panther that was very upset.
Yeah.
And there was this person who just sat down at the cage and like chatted to it. And
so I think that is Anna Bettenbach, if I'm not wrong.
Okay.
She was like the original animal communicator of South Africa. They're busy writing a book or movie about her, by the way. But my friend Chris trained with her, and it was so funny. We was talking back in the days about like how can because he liked to spearfish, to go to hunt for his food, obviously whatever is sustainable. And so spearfishing for him is like, okay, depends on which fish you choose, there is plenty. So for me to go to gain food for my family and is sustainable. And everybody was questioning, but you are an animal communicator, or how can you, it's like, but you create he explained to me that you create such a strong network, and it's like the hunting itself is a first form of animal communication. Imagine how big is the savannah, and like a little guy on little G-strings or whatever, like with a spear. It's like walking. What is the chances you're gonna find the animal waiting for him to be killed? There's very few chances, right? So it's become almost like a telepathic connection to the prey when you're asking to the universe to give you something to sustain your life. And that connection will eventually show off in a prey, which is like suitable for you to get. Then obviously you need to be able to, on your craft, like if it's a spear or a bow and arrow or whatever, but it's
but there's something deeply spiritual,
very much,
and a sense of connection about the prey and the hunter.
And obviously, like that was also time in history which human. That's my taking, and the reason why I'm vegetarian is because I can afford to not be eating meat. Not from a economical side, but because we have so much knowledge and so much like variety of food, which like feed me doesn't take any life. Like I have the choice of it what I can make. But like if you look into Africa and people living in certain environment, and there was no supermarket, there was no, even if I look back into his generation, my granny, she used to have chickens mainly for eggs. When the chicken was getting old and it was not performing anymore, was eating all the food. It's like that was the time to pull the neck and make it a big soup, And she had cows to make cheese. Like the meat consumption was really much to provide over the wintry months when there was a frost, there was snow. So they used to kill the pig and make sausages and keep them in store, because with the high fat content you could create like something which could age nicely. So your salami, your hams, your things, it was born into this kind of like philosophy, I believe, when you kind of like, you cannot get anything from the land over like the snow. So you in fact the pig usually get killed end of the summer towards autumn, and then get stored. So like through the winter months you have your pap, your polenta, your grain, whatever is the source of that, and your cheeses, and then the meat was there, and that was like to survive the months when there was nothing coming from the land. So this it become very, very, and each life was taken for necessity or for a celebration. I think African people still do it bigly for celebration nowadays, like the wedding, and they became of adults or whatever. So anyway, so that's like little.
But you definitely do serve meat at your restaurant.
Yeah. I know. I mean, I
it's a personal choice.
I have different hats, like it's like in my restaurant, I'm the head chef, so I stand for my tradition. I stand for the certain way we handle the dough, we preparing the food, and we delivering the food, and I try to do it as authentic as I can. Then obviously I need to be a bit contemporary, because like, as I say, people have different tastes, but the famous story about the pineapple on pizzas. So
by the way, do you serve pineapple on pizza?
That was the first pizza I ever made for love in Italy. After being kicked out from a restaurant because my partner wanted salami and pineapple, and the waiter is like, "Non siamo in Inghilterra, ma siamo in Italia, we are in Italy, get out!" So I do. And I believe it's actually a great combination in a way, like with the salami, not much with the ham, but the salami, the spiciness, the peppery, black pepper, and the salt of the salami, but balanced with the pineapple quite well.
Have you tried anchovy and pineapple?
Anchovy? No, I never.
It's a weird one, but I've tried it. It's quite interesting.
We do have one with mushroom, capers, and pineapple, which is eventually my partner turned vegetarian, and she wanted to recreate that experience of the salami and pineapple, and she designed like, okay, this is like mushroom, capers, olives, and pineapple, or just maybe there wasn't olives. I'm confused now.
What's the olive and caper to create the saltiness that you?
Yeah, so I can see why anchovies can fit in there too, because it's kind of like a,
Yeah, it's right in that Puttanesca family.
You see, in Sicily, they were tuning me like back in the days, like, you can be vegetarian, but you must eat anchovies. Anchovies is a medicine. It's good for you. I was like, yeah, well, I believe it. Like there is that the mineral content, the potassium or whatever you find into fish,
and the fish oil and
a diverse diet, I think, is the key. But like nowadays, also, we was mentioning earlier about the Tao. The Tao is like everything should be in balance, and the balance can be in your life, in your whatever is close to you, but also in your neighborhood, in your cities, in your country, and worldwide. You need to see what take you out of balance. And then maybe we should just like kind of try to expand our mind to consider like us as one big whole, not just like, oh, this is me as my need. Oh, this is my family and my need.
Yeah.
Oh, no, I'm Cape Tonia. This is what we do. Oh, maybe no, as a South African or Italian, perhaps, that's how we are. So that's right. We stand for our tradition, but also in the same time, because it's good to keep the tradition alive. Certain flavor, they got history, but also we need to be kind of like more conscious about like what those traditions take towards some time. An excess is an excess.
This is reminding me of this. I want to say it's called the overview effect.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not having a great day with words, actually. But
welcome into my world.
But it's this idea that the astronauts, like people who go into lower orbits, or they suddenly realize, like you look at the planet and you realize, because you can think about it a lot, but to actually experience it and see how thin the atmosphere is. You've got this tiny little ball floating around in space with this incredibly thin sliver of atmosphere, and everything that's under there is actually sort of like the Gaia idea, right? It's like
Mm.
a single organism. We're all dependent on this tiny little place, this sliver of air.
Mhm.
And then most people are sort of oblivious to the fact that we are actually, we're actually much closer to each other than we realize. We break up in little factions and fight about it, have tantrums about all kinds of small little things. And
Absolutely. I went to the Kruger for a couple of years back for a friend's birthday party. He wanted to walk through the Kruger and sleep in the wild.
okay,
And
and that's where the lions and everything. So
yeah,
you're walking with guns.
yeah. Well, there is two guys armed just to protect, but the gun is, is resting about a meter from the guy in the sleeping bag at night. So it's like looking at it like, is something happening? Is it gonna be fast enough to get the gun? But yeah, apparently, you need to understand the nature to be able to be there in those conditions. But what really stand out for me is how quickly you can adjust, or I did adjust to that environment. From notice then, my partner passed away after in the wildlife, like after a shark attack. So now going to
Shark attack.
it was a shark attack, yeah. And now going to into the Kruger, walking around in between lions, on the back of my mind is like, you know what, Diego? This is it. If it's happening, there we go. It's like, life got its own picture. You just fulfill the picture, like destiny. I start to believe in destiny after the accident, because there is some things which like mathematically can hardly make any sense, And so we're walking around there, and then, like, even with this kind of like almost like paranoia in the back of my mind, in a half an hour, 40 minutes, and in silent, you have to walk silent, because if you want to see any animal, you better keep quiet. Otherwise, they run away. And you get quite used to it. Something in the primordial, like some side of the brain is like, oh my goodness, like, and then your senses enhancing, your mind start to kind of like calm down, almost like shut up, like you don't hear
Sort
like
of
kind of
meditational states.
amazingly, yeah, you just get into the space, and then you venture through things, and then obviously the guide, the part of the job is also to describe how this happened and this happened, and it was really standing out how everything is related to everything. From the little flower, like if certain kind of trees get a disease and the trees die and the insect die, and then like the insect die, and then they create such a big repercussion to the balance of whatever is the ecosystem in a low fault, this the bit that side. And yeah, and I think on a bigger scale is the same. We're just not seeing it too much. We're just paying consequences. Oh, there's another hurricane, or there's another earthquake, or there's a tsunami happening. It's like, wonder where it come from. Like, maybe, I don't know. Like,
Yeah,
you're
that
connected.
nose is just too close to what is right in front of you. So we tend to focus very, very narrowly in terms of our conscious attention.
Yeah.
We focus on the story that's busy in your head today. And I'm thinking I have to deal with this, and I have to do this, and I have to deal with the tax guy, and this admin, and someone said something, and you're busy with that story, and that's the size of your world.
Absolutely.
And if by actually putting down, I think this is sort of the idea of a meditation, or the idea of being in a state of meditative-like state, when you're very calm and you stop really just running around in your head,
Yes.
is that you actually, that laser focus way of thinking opens up wider.
Yeah.
And suddenly you become aware of how big everything is and how everything is actually working together.
You become part of everything, because like it's like a thing through relaxation. You have a sort of expansion, as you mention it. So if my energy expand, then I mean you like become one. But if I constantly like contract, you get to like the depression vibe. My guru also mentioned something on the line that, when you have this like depression and suicidal thoughts, perhaps it is like it's a common thing happening nowadays. Apparently, like lots of people are unhappy, is when your energy, when your bubble of energy become smaller than your physical body. From that's the way he described it. So when your energy are so small, then you don't see any reason for life. You're just fully disconnected. But the more you relax and this bubble expand, and then when you can reach out, and then when you really find the joy of life, the creativity and everything which is related to being alive, really.
So you're talking about food and talking about company and love. And I think if people are in this state, I mean, it's almost a comic-like picture I have in my head of an Italian family sitting around a long table and, eating pasta and passing this dish and whatever and chatting. everyone explaining with their hands.
Lots of chattering and
Lots of chattering, and
loud.
that in that state, that like you're talking about this energetic field, and we can just, I mean, we don't have to get into technical stuff of it or anything, just say as an idea that if they're all that close and they're all relaxing together, that there's such an overlap of energy.
Yes.
So there's a sense of unity, and that gives it, it's very important for humans to have that sense of belonging. So then you have the hormonal reaction,
Yes.
oxytocin and so on, that starts being released, and it reinforces itself.
Yeah.
Where
They say, like, when you close to someone, you we like tuning forks. That's like a part of the scripture or the East. They say like your company is very relevant to define who you are. Obviously, in a family, family.
we have like a common Western saying, "Show me your 5 best friends, and I show you your future."
Technically, yeah.
It's this idea, like, you hang out with people, so like you start to almost look the same, like people and their dogs.
The dogs, the pets, exactly. But apparently it's a very ancient knowledge, and they say, like, because we get affected by if you look into quantum physics, our matter is very poor. Like we're more empty space than what we are in matter. Like if you break it down to really like an atomic level, and the water, the experiment that we're doing to water now, like science is kind of try to kind of make sense of all this kind of saying that was back in the days, but really much is, there was a story about a friend of mine, and she went to India, and she went to do a Nadi reading. I don't know if you're familiar with the Nadi reading.
Those energy points, right?
Well, they kind of like, there is 3 points on the wrist, which they can read. It's like Nadi reading. I think it's lots about the kind of like intuition. It's an intuitive method, but it can be quite precise, and then they can diagnose anything which is right or wrong with you. They do it also in Chinese medicine, but yeah. I think they call it Nadi Parikshan. I don't know. So she went, she had the Nadi read, and she was fine. And then the doctor said, "No, you must call your husband and tell him to go to the hospital." And she was in India. The husband was in South Africa, tour guide, dear friend of mine. And then she was like a little bit like, "What am I doing? Why should I?" It's like, "No, like, please tell him to go for a checkup." So she was a bit shaken, no? And then she's kind of spiritual person, the husband not much, not the level. So it's like getting this phone call from
Try and
India.
imagine that conversation.
It's like,
Honey,
so, why? It's just like, go to the hospital. Why? And he went, and they find him with a principle of tuberculosis. And that's how connected we are. Especially like when you're sleeping with someone, your partner or your family, you have a much deeper connection than you might have with your friends. So, like on a superficial level is what we like to do. Of course, it's good to create good time, a good memory with your family, because you know what, you cannot choose your family. You got it. It is what it is, and it's also that acceptance, which a lot of people, or it's difficult to deal with. You're accepting someone for what they are, or you just want them the way you like them. With families.
So with your friends, you get to pick them. Your family, you don't, but that forces you to deal with their eccentricities and
move you out from your center, perhaps, because like if you're very self-centered, then you will like not resonate with anything which doesn't match your frequency in a way. It's just like then with your family you get like to kind of remove the self. It's you there, but it's not me. I don't know if that can make sense.
Yeah, sort of play your role.
Yeah, just play your role
in a way.
Yeah. I mean, and then as much as like we can talk on a podcast, and what we say might be helpful for other people, when you're sharing space with people you don't like, or you're not necessarily like, not necessarily you don't like, I mean, you like our family, but I mean, like,
you love them, don't always like them.
Exactly, that's the point. That interaction is happening. I often thought in my mind, like, it was a big philosophy for me growing up, and I resonated in my mind. I never really logically thought it, but be free to be wrong. It's like to be able to make mistake, and it seems like quite a difficult way to be nowadays in society. Not to justify bad, like,
we've
wrong
spoken
choices.
about that a couple of times before. I think especially with social media, and there are cameras everywhere. Everyone's got a video camera with them.
Yeah.
And so they say one of the reasons why a lot of younger people,
the camera.
Gotta make sure. So one of the reasons why a very few young people actually drink is because in those early years where other generations would have been experimenting with drinking and maybe getting drunk, and uh, it's terrifying for them because you get drunk and then someone takes a video and that's it
Of
forever
awareness.
and ever. This is who you are now,
You can
and
label.
so people become very scared of coloring outside the lines or experimenting, trying things, and like you say, try something and make a mistake and go, oh, actually that was a stupid idea. Let me not do
Yeah.
that again.
Yeah, that's why I say it's a precious thing. It's a precious thing to be able to make mistake, to be able to not be so self-conscious about what, you know, um, the way you will appear. I like to do this, but what the other people gonna think about it? I grew up in a small village, like that everybody know
At San Pellegrino is like I think 500,000 people
about
at the moment.
about maybe a bit less back in the days. Maybe it was more 400,000 when I was growing up, but like it's tiny and it's in the bottom of a valley. So everything's
Nothing
happens.
gets out.
Nothing get out. There is not even crime because there is one
Except the
road in or one
amazing
road out.
water, right?
Yes, the water is
Famous
great.
for its water.
The water is very
So at
good.
least you grew up on good water.
Yeah, we had to go to actually like we could get the San Pellegrino water still, like without bubbles. Yeah, San Pellegrino is not naturally sparkling. That's not the magic of the water. But some people do think because it's so popular, but it's thermal water. But all of it go into bottles nowadays. It's like it's a massive business, which employ lots of people in the village, which is good. And then we have one tap left for the resident in the village, which are not resident then anymore.
And
I'm
that's a
resident.
public tap that just runs all the time, right?
Yeah, but they say there is a sign that say only the resident of the village can collect the water from there. So now, because I'm resident in Africa, like every time I'm like, you know,
Like late at night.
nobody's checking with the major pulling up with a bicycle in the village. It's like just put the 5 liter bottle. It's like hoping nobody can ask me if I'm still. It's funny. Yeah, but like that feeling in that a small village, you really have to deal with the feeling of being judged, right? He used to kind of go off and having our drinking moments, as young kids experimenting, and drinking culture is big in Italy as much as in South Africa. Um, but then, yeah, everybody know everything about everybody because always someone seeing you either leaving home or coming back home or behaving a certain way, or they see you at the bar, like especially when you're a teenager, you're not moving much because you have your little scooter, you can go to places, but like you're there, 5 kilometer down area. And now with the social media became like like international. Like if you do some, like those 6 7 or whatever it is, like there is so much nonsense, and then they become funny for one person, and then all of a sudden they're funny for 200,000 people, and then it become like a meme. And in the same way, I feel like there is the same risks for embarrassing moment to get so
Yeah, you're
hectic.
sort of trying an idea and playing with something, and
Yeah. And on the other hand, what's happening that what you see online is just a perfection of the perfection most of the time. Right? If you're looking for anybody like your sports, let's say you're a soccer player or whatever, then you constantly compare yourself to the top of the top. So the fun is not to play the sport, but it's like to win, to be like that, right?
just
Like
to eventually become something as opposed to the process of being playful right here now and actually living the life, enjoying the journey.
Exactly. And I think that in the youth that is quite present. So you're not. I say you're right to be wrong, but in reality, it's like just to live life fully, without having like any precise outcome from whatever you do.
So we're touching on San Pellegrino,
Hmm.
and you said that your wife came from Portugal.
Well, South African, second generation South African, but
Okay.
like a family from Madeira.
Okay.
It's still Africa in a way. It is Portugal, yeah.
Yeah. In terms of how the style influences on your food, would you say that it's pretty much where you come from that you use in the kitchen, or does it play with some of the sort of South African Portuguese ideas that you learned from her and her passion for cooking? And
Well, she was obsessed with chicken. That's that's the thing, like the Portuguese chicken, the peri peri chicken. Um, they're not really. See, the Italian food and Portuguese food is very popular in these days. In Cape Town, I see. It's very animal protein based and very strong in flavors. So lots of wine and garlic, and which we do in Italian food too. But I think Spanish and Portuguese is, to an extent, is stronger. Like it's got like a very more impactful flavors to it. So Italian food
But
tend to
so
be
Celeste, you're saying Italian food is very comforting, where the Spanish and Portuguese food kind of like
fiery.
it's more fiery. It sort of
Yeah,
dares you. Like,
I think yeah, we can describe it fiery. I think because it's like excite the palate a bit more. Not that Italian food doesn't excite the palate, but it's much more subtle. So you
yeah,
have to look for the dip because like once you have too much of one, like I go back home nowadays and I make aglio olio and peperoncino. The we call it the midnight pasta. So it's garlic, olive oil, and chili. Just Parmesan cheese, parsley. Just that's it. It's quick to put together. You don't have to spend hours on the stove. And then the fellow Italians sometimes they see the amount of garlic I put, and it's like moderate, But I put so much garlic nowadays because after 16 years in South Africa, that is an attraction. Like everybody, I love garlic. Like I never really hardly meet a person and say I don't eat garlic. Maybe 1% of the people. Like everybody love it. But for Italy, the garlic is there to create a flavor profile just a little bit. But when you're exceeding on it, might cover the other flavors. So it's a much more refined and sophisticated way to cook in a way, which often, if you're used to the strong flavor, then I serve you something which doesn't have the strong flavor profile, then people say, "Oh, but it's a
it's
bit bland,"
bland.
right?
Yeah,
Yeah, this is like I
I
get it a
think
lot.
it happens like with Japanese cooking as well. When you
Yes.
make a really good ramen, um, it seems kind of bland. Like
Yeah.
the broth seems kind of bland. It's not full of this. Oh wow, here it is. But then as you going through it, you realize, and you get to the end of the meal, and you realize you just feel amazing. I
Yeah.
feel so happy. I do. Oh, it must be the ramen.
Doesn't that reflect like the meditation concept though? You see, like when your mind is very busy and excited, excitement. We see excitement as a good thing nowadays. Everybody's like, I want to be excited. I live life fully. But like you make certain decision because it's an extreme, and then all the actual subtle feelings, all the things that they kind of go on in the mind, or things that you need to kind of work through, go over again, they just get squashed behind. You never get to deal with it, you know. And then I think like it's a similar things happen with flavors, When
Yeah.
you like it gets so much strong flavor, then you go from from a coffee to like prego rolls. Sorry, my fellow Portuguese friends, it's like, but like anything can be, strong flavor, strong flavor, strong flavor. Then drinking, then this, then that, and then sugars. Everything is an exciting, and like we constantly. Like, I mean, if you look at the consumption of coffee, the consumption of energy drinks, it's like we are living in a society we just want to be excited all the time. This excitement. Pizza is exciting. I think like there is a addictive aspect on a combination between bread and cheese, which create that excitement too. Um, but then in between the line, it's like when you kind of like find the peace of mind, that's where the happiness is. It's like in a present moment. Because you're either excited or you look to be excited, It's like it's constantly like moving, and then you remember, that's what's good. I want like another one. So you've got this moving from past to future, past to future. And when you're eating it, it's like, does it eat the spot? My partner used to say, I crave, when she turned vegetarian, I crave for chicken so much or for sushi so much, then if I eat it, doesn't taste as good as I want it.
It's like overhyped the idea in your head, and
Yeah, it's weird. It's like that, I call it excitement now, but like maybe people could discover it
mm.
some other way.
Diego, tell me, you said earlier we've spoken quite a lot, and you mentioned your wife quite a couple of times,
Yes.
Kiki, and then you spoke about a shark accent.
Yes. Yeah.
What happened there?
Uh,
And
uh,
you're saying statistically it's just one out of millions,
so weird.
but it is what it is.
I can break down the story a little bit more in details from whatever like happened. Like this is a lot to be saying, but like simply, I can almost describe it as like a vortex that get us to that place on that specific day at that specific time. Your life sometime when it's full moon, when it's not full moon, some days things are falling from the table constantly, or you keep forgetting things. Some days like life happening this way, and it's weird. There was a feeling like then I didn't want to be there that day. And then someone called me and they said, "No, you must come to support us to review our menu. We got no money. We will give you olive oil and olives and things, and that's close by. flat somewhere in a Karoo. And I'm like, okay, I don't want to go there, but now this person phoned me, so I went to my partner. We can go, and then all of a sudden, in a few days, she decided my cousin needed to come with us. We needed to go there. This person phoned me, asked me for like advice, so I'm like, okay, I agreed to go, and we all open the car, drive a full day, get there on a Saturday evening, and then a Sunday morning she went for a swim, and then this juvenile great white came close and gave it a bite. So that's I was in front of her when that happened. I was in the room, but I ran down as soon as the news came to me, and I tried to look for her, and I couldn't see in the water. I couldn't see because the sun was shining. It was weird. It was some kind of magical, like light in the sky. You know, some it was like a quite auspicious time of the year. But anyway, that's like all things coming together, and yeah, we saw. We're not as strong, we have big personality, we have big mind, but like on a physical level, we're really not uh,
Quite
invincible,
fragile.
quite fragile. She was a tiny girl. So I tried to look and through the motion, and I see where the lifeguard was aiming to launch the boat, and I run down to them. People was not allowed me to get in the water, but also I couldn't see anything. Like it's just like, and then there she was, like floating on her way back. The waves was pushing her towards the shore, right? Wasn't like if you look into what is being said about that occasion, there was a lot of nonsense. Lots of people created like sensationalism. There was a guy swimming with his daughter, and a shark came, and she tried to swim away. The shark was chasing her, and make it in peace. No, nothing on that. The sharks don't eat people, as far as I know. They get confused with the motion in the water. They don't even see well, so they just give it a bite, and then they swim off.
And then the bite's just in the wrong place. Then
I think the bite was on a artery,
femoral artery.
Femoral artery, yeah. So that would be very quick. I did not see any splatter issue images, so I was very lucky for that, because I don't know, like I remember there was people like, no, God, like, cannot see, whatever. I've been very lucky to be able to get my partner out of the water in one piece, beautiful as she was. We did not see a drop of blood, not one drop of blood. So by the time we found it, probably the blood was already all gone out. So it's probably bleed to death. And then the lifeguard kind of like carry out. I remember that, like, I was obviously my emotion was very high at the point. Lots of sadness, lots of anger, lots of fear. Like you become one with this energy. Like when you are like I was in a relationship for like 18 years or so with her, and like it's like you losing a part of yourself. It's kind of it's happening, like as is happening, like there is this kind of like deep realization that is what is happening. Like there wasn't quite a clear understanding of that, like but the mind is just kind of refused, like, no, this cannot be true, this cannot happen. Then I walk into the room to say goodbye to her. My biggest fear was like, how can I explain to my daughter, because she was only 2.5 years old back then, and it's like really much attached to mom, and the booby vibe, like kids like breastfeeding story was. And I take my daughter in with me. So when we went into the room, I take her my arm and I say, let's go. And then she was like,
Where's mommy?
Well, she said, mommy's sleeping, she say. Like, this is mommy. I was crying, but like somehow as we entered the room, she knew that mommy wasn't there. Like she could see her there, and then she like from like, kids like talking and blah, blah, blah. And then it's like, oh, wait, mommy's sleeping. And then she went very silent all of a sudden, like she could pick up on something. And then, we give away more by our energy and our words. Sometimes happen, you walk into a room and you just see people's face and you already know what it's about, right? And then like if someone say welcome, like there's not very welcome sometimes, like so like there is a lot that we kind of transmit through our life force, through our energy. And I think that's when daughter pick it up at the point. And I think mother start to walk with her from whatever other side. You know, I often say we never really break up. You know, it's a part missing because you're like not part of the connection. But like from another side, it's like, you know, when you have a breakup is when you kind of agree to not be together anymore. You know, like that's why when you get married, they say till death doesn't. I don't know how the phrase it
Till
in.
death does you part.
Yeah,
Do us part.
yeah. So that does, but the connection somehow I still feel it through my daughter, maybe more because like I still have like something in common, you know. And I do believe we have so many people in the other side. You know, we see life as we are the future. You know, my mom and dad make me to prosper for the family to come, and so we always project into the future, right? So I can make 2 kids and 3 kids and 4 kids or whatever. But then you look behind it, there is like 2 parents who make you, and then there is 4 parents who make your parents, and then there's 8 parents who make them, and then 16 and 32 and so and so. So how many people take to come to you is almost like a pyramidal. We are the tip of the pyramid, you know, like we have like so many people behind us. And I do like to believe that those people, maybe someone take life again, you know, but like the essence is like still in the ether, like our, you know, the true self, I believe, is like part of consciousness, and then they conspire for us to succeed. They conspire for us to do well in life, to support us. And, you know, after that occasion, I've been to look into lots of what is the meaning of life, how life happened, what is the purpose of life.
And you couldn't just let go and say, well, that's it. I'm moving back to Italy or whatever. I think you already, when you were saying your daughter was 2.5 years old at that time. Plus you have the restaurant and the pasta kitchen.
Yes.
That you built with Kiki.
And a great family, like my Portuguese side of the family. I make fun about them, like sometimes we're talking about Portuguese, peri peri chicken, but they're great. We have great support to them. It's such a I can relate a lot. Like as Italian, we relate. We think and behave in the same way. My father-in-law is also Italian, so they really kind of like always been part of my stay in South Africa. And after my partner went away, so I got a great family. I got a good business running, a great business. The pasta kitchen gave me an opportunity to have a purpose in life, to do something for people, which sometimes when I look back home, first world, you know, the first world country, it's so complex because you don't see you know there is struggle, but you don't see it, you know. So even when you want to take action, you know, to knock to your neighbor's door and just go to like give a word of support or whatever, is sometimes take much more than be able to take someone which is clearly needed support.
Yes, and I mean, you operate in OBS, and
Yeah.
it's clear that there are people who are in dire need. There are people who are,
Well, nobody's dying. I think it's like,
I mean, dire need.
oh
So
yeah,
in
yeah,
serious
sorry.
need. So some people are on the street. I mean, this
Yeah.
time of year, it's wet and cold, and
Is a
and
two-way.
there are people who might have a place, but they don't really have enough food. They don't.
Yes. Yeah, it's complex, South African social situation, but like having the purpose and the ability to connect. What we do with the pasta kitchen, we connect everybody. So we never look down or up. So we have just a way to operate, which is like everybody's welcome. Kids, people on the street, people on drugs, people with mental issue, because I often like people end up on the street, they often have like the two mental issue and the drug addiction, they tend to be related to each other. So everybody's welcome to come to share a meal with us. And then we have volunteers coming in, which they have the purpose and the call to kind of take action towards society, really. And I often laugh and say, like, I think the volunteers are probably the one benefiting the most, you know, because the simplicity about life is like, okay, I got food today, and a lots of people on the street that love that freedom of action. They call it the freedom of action, but it's the simplicity of like, I know what I get. I know what I can decide what to do, when to do it, you know, even if it's limiting, because then obviously you got no money for food, you got no roof over your head, but like they have that kind of like autonomy, which they get used to it, they have their routine. And they're behaving in that in a space they create. And then the volunteer came, and like often, like even when we start, we wanted to save everybody, you know, you need to get everybody off the street, but some people don't want to get off the street, some people don't have the ability, some people they just make the living on the street. So you have to really show that acceptance. And when volunteer come, it's kind of like a high opening. That's why I compare a lot to grow up in a technically a first world country, which if I don't believe is the right terminology anymore, because there is things going up there.
What does
like,
it really mean anyway?
yeah, maybe for the economical potential or how much money the country move. But then if you look into the social, like there is more. I often like go back now to Italy and come out like with some kind of like dream. Like I'm a bit of a dreamer. Like, maybe I should do this, maybe I should do that, maybe I should start this business, maybe I should. And I like to see everything as possible. And when I talk to people back home, often it's like, why you all do that? No, but that's gonna be a lot of work, Like there's always the kind of like, like, it's like, like it's like,
Can't someone else take care of that? It's like, but
yeah, no, it's like why you want even bother? Like it's very negative in a way, like the
sort of
way people
apathetic.
perceive it. Yeah, I think there is probably a reason why everything happened in the way, like
Sure.
due to regulation and over frustration over like too many rules and taken in place. And when here is like a bit more anarchic in a way, there is a system in place, but it's not super strict, so people still have freedom of action. So you can still dream. And I started my pizza oven by installing I started my pizzeria by installing a pizza oven in a lounge, and start to make pizza for people for about a year and a half, and
In a rental apartment.
in a rental house in the Vatican. And I was like, in Italy, they would have probably locked me up, fined me. Here, like I borrowed like some money. It wasn't much. It was like about 16,000 rand back then, and I managed to start a business which now sustain 15 families. But in Italy, like it would probably be like, okay, this guy, what is he doing? Lock him up, lose a house, lose the money, probably get a fine, and get a criminal record too. Some kind of see the different approach to life.
Yeah.
So I never considered to run back to Italy as something better there. No, I think I got a good deal where I am. I love to be in South Africa. I love to be helpful and support where I can. We have a few initiative going on. The Pasta Kitchen is one of those. But there is also like this movement called the Youth Leadership Empowerment, supported by the International Association of Human Value, which I, in my capacity, not as a business, take part and support with teaching yoga, breathing technique into the location, and try to create leaders which can uplift the community in the location. Because at the moment, the bigger problem to uplift the location is be regularly going in and out from there. Like can become quite dangerous as you're not part of the community, and there might be crime. If there is the Italian guy who driving in and out with his Audi all the time, then people might start to see the pattern, right?
Yeah.
And ladies, lots of ladies, they feel like to be useful in charity and supporting.
Yeah,
like
but
this.
going into the location comes
Yeah.
with certain risks and so on.
Yeah,
You want to help create opportunities, and you're saying young leadership and
But there is plenty of initiatives, like there is lots of things. But I noticed that one of the limit is that, like, whoever feel compassionate and would like to do an effort, they feel unsafe to go in certain areas. So like the way I had, like, with this project, which I believe in to support the International Association of Human Value, support us with the Pasta Kitchen from years, but it's like a big movement which work globally. Like was founded by Shri Ravi Shankar in India. The person I love to call my guru, because he's like such a role model. He's such an inspiring person. He founded the Art of Living for anybody who want to find themselves, and then he just kind of create this movement, which is like is there to uplift society into stress and violence free society, as we can all live happily, and there is more than enough for everybody. It's something that people don't like to talk about, but there is plenty, you know. So this youth leadership empowerment is like the latest project we open on. And anyway, so
it's something that you're working on by yourself. For the, I mean,
well, it's not me by myself. It's a big thing. It's like
yeah,
lots
but
of
you're
people
involved in
but
that. So.
I'm involved, like, and that's reconnect to the idea of be able to like I find myself very lucky, because to a skill which I was given by birth,
By your
know,
birthright.
in Italian can make pizzas, I always tell kids it's too secret for make good pizzas. One, you need to have an Italian man touch the dough. And the other one was like to hold your breath when you put it in a pizza oven. Like when you scoop up the pizza. And I got a picture of those kids with the big chicks just holding a pizza spade. It's just, but yeah, like the knowledge of the product come because it's our food. If you growing up eating something, the flavor, the way to deliver it, the atmosphere, that is like it was given by birth, and I managed to get that into a business which is able to support me and all my, as I say, 15 family, depending on Ferdinando's at the moment, and even more now give me the ability to be able to direct my energy to support something else, not just kind of like just me slaving in front of the pizza oven, which would probably be what I have to do in Italy, because like cost of living, the restriction,
And everyone makes pizza anyway, so
yeah, but we also eat much more pizzas. I'll probably sell more pizzas in Italy than I do in South Africa, but it's like it's be able to kind of like grow through your business and be able to kind of make the business better, look after your employee the way you were not looked after when you were working for someone else. It's like try to be inspiring, motivate them to be the best for themselves, and then obviously work is work, have to happen, but then very lucky to be able to also look out behind what they were keeping alive and just be able to share this feeling of gratitude and abundance with other people, especially the young generation. Now I got my daughter, so like that is my vocation. Like, what do we want for the future? We really sit with our children, right? Like the children will be like the people of the future. So if you can, and the children don't do what you say, they do what you're doing, right? So you have to kind of really like show them the best way to live life. And the art of living is amazing. It's got few strong pillar. I invite anybody who like to experience into spirituality and or self-discovery to go and take an happiness course. It's like a course that they run over 5 days, and is really designed to kind of calm the mind down, to discover yourself again and understand how society or how human being operating, and it's knowledge which is like thousands of years old. It's just simplified. This is what the guru are here to simplify those things and make like pearls which you can just make yours, and then try to share this knowledge with other people. Because
tell me, Diego, did you encounter this before or after the incident in Plet?
Before. My partner, I had done some course with them before I meet her. And then I remember when I came to South Africa, then I could hear like her doing her yoga practice in the morning sometime. And like I was like, "What are you doing?" It's like, you must do the course. If you're curious, you must do the course." And she was right. It's like no point to know too much about it. There's certain things you can only experience it. And I remember I used to smoke a lot of weed back in the days. And I remember when I came out of the course, I was like, "Wow, those things make me feel the same as after." It's like when I smoke weed. It's like looking, it's like, "Are you sure? You're weird." But like, that kind of easiness, the happy vibe, that kind of, and so for me, it like wasn't really relevant too much. Like I was playing with it, doing my practice on and off, enjoying the vibe, understanding everything. But like I was too busy with life. My mind was still like very happy into partying a lot, and my mom passed away 10 years ago, and that was a big, I think was, yeah, that was very intense for me. I was very close to my mother, and yeah, life started to spiral down, like a downward. I was like not in happy space, and I almost lost my relationship too, because I was like really like not self-destructive. I was like in a destructive mode, and then then when the practice came up again, like this course, this happiness course, I went up and I did another course, and then give me the tools to be able to deal with whatever was going on, and the clarity of mind to understand what I was doing wrong. Because that's especially when, if you say drink for celebrate, not drink for forget, like sometimes you get into the kind of easiness of drinking or smoking and feel like you really not see things clearly, cannot even understand that you are where you are emotionally. So like I take a break for that, and then I find myself, and then since then the practice has been more consistent. And of course, it is that practice which helped me to go through whatever happened to my partner that day. and maybe through the practice kind of like give you some insight sometime, like, you know, when you're in tune with yourself, you can kind of in tune with your surrounding, and you can feel when things are not working, so you can kind of adjust either yourself or the situation to whatever happening around you. It's very look into it. It's kind of interesting, but you know, so there's kind of things which you have to experience for yourself, and then the more you put is the more you get. If you give you 100% in, you can take you 100% out. You know, if you take 10% in and like, I try, it doesn't work for me, but what you get out is 10%. So it's one of those things.
I think a lot of life is like that.
Yeah. But it's also what you were saying about like be scientific, you know, like there is things in spirituality that is who tell you that you must believe, you know, and just believe, which is a good is a way to see it, and then there are people. There is the other way of
Come try this thing, experience it, observe for yourself.
100%.
What do you see? How do you feel?
And then see what work for you, not work for you. If it's any good for you, then embrace it. If it's not working for you, then it's not meant for you. Then move on.
Discard it. Yeah,
Exactly. That's the beauty. It's a free world, but free life. And yeah, I still practice a lot. Still practice my Sudarshan Kriya. It's a Kriya set of yoga, which is like take as little as like half an hour in the morning. I like to do in the morning, just set me for the day. So people wake up and have a coffee. I wake up and I do my breaths, and then for the day I'm clean. It's very powerful. I used to smoke cigarette also a lot, and the only thing I could kill the craving for cigarette was this breathing practice, which is like, you know, I always say Italian, we quite good. We have good addictive personality. That's why we have so much good treats in the Italian culture. You know, between the sweets and the food and the aperitivo, and this is a country where people happily smoke everywhere. Still, like there is, well, not everywhere. Like there is low restriction, but it's like, you know, tobacco smoke is not seen as something negative in Italy. It's like it's something you do or you don't do. You know, yeah, it's like, oh, you're gonna die. It's like my partner's like, you're gonna die. It's like, in Italy, it's like, I can finally have a cigarette guilt-free. You go to Milan, you can smoke anywhere, and you will feel like very well
and
accepted.
you don't even kill the cigarette, right? In
No.
Milan, I know they say that it's bad luck to kill the cigarette, so you just flick it.
Yes.
You just
It's a flicking. It's actually quite a good skill to have, and it's like quite rewarding when you hit the spots. Like especially the rubbish being far away, you're getting it. It's like, yeah. But like that was the power of those sorts of practices. Like it really wash away what you think you are, and this like what shine through is yourself. You know, we think we are our like especially in the smoking. Big part of my personality was connected to my habit. You know, you meet me like, hey, that's me. You know, like it's the gesture, the vibe has always been there. And then when the first time I managed to break out of it, because I had an accident actually, I had a skin graft. And the doctor said, "Oh, you should not smoking because the new skin might not
settle nicely."
Well. So that first time, and the first time I get out of that addiction, I was like, "Wow, what is this?" My mind is silent. You know, it's not like, "Oh, okay, it's cool. I get itchy. I need a cigarette. Oh, where is my lighter? Where is the cigarette? Oh, I need to go to the tobacco shop." Oh, you know, like constantly in the back of your mind, it's like through addiction, that is what's happening. You know, start as a fun game and then become almost like, okay, I need to spend so much energy to feed into it, to keep myself normal. Because if I don't ever get itchy and edgy and frustrated and yeah, so it was quite a big addiction. Like addiction is a big thing to deal with, and that's like somehow through cigarette addiction, overcome the cigarette addiction helped me to understand when I was serving people which they on drugs. You know, in the pasta kitchen we have people that which like they might come and they on any kind of drugs, really. You never know. I don't think they even know what they're getting most of the time. It's just anything to get them out of the mind sometimes. And you tell them about, you know, you can be bad, but if you've never been there, it's quite difficult. Like lots of people are like, just give it up. It's so easy.
Yeah.
You know? There was an ashtray one. It's like, stop smoking is the easiest thing I ever done, and I did it at least 1,000 times. You know, it's like it was like 6 hours between my life. I stop for 6 hours and I can start again. You know?
Yeah.
And when you see like people, because like addiction really kind of crawling in your being, and you think that is what you are. You know, I am.
It becomes you think it's your identity. You believe it becomes part of the persona.
Yes.
And you don't realize that you aren't just the persona, you are so much more.
Exactly.
But most of the time, and we were speaking earlier about sort of the laser focus and the broad focus, that laser focus always looks through the mask of the persona,
Yes.
right? And
You can be anything.
and there are these ways, like you say, there are breath techniques, and also I think we'll drop some links to things in the description.
Yeah.
But there are all of these ways that might help people to move through, difficult situations, addictions, just negative thoughts, or
or even like just purpose. Like sometime, like maybe there is a lack of purpose in life. It's amazing. Like when you experience it, obviously, like as I say, like do the course, you will figure it out. But there is so many things that they unlock. Once you unlock the first, like everything else around is unlocked. It's almost like one of those complicated like locking system, like
and then it just goes.
Yeah.
There, now
And it was like, oh, but I used to do these, like a rather silly thing about flicking the cigarette. That was always been a thing for me when I was smoking and flicking, smoking and flinging. Like, San Pellegrino is not far from Milan, so that's where we get it from. But and nowadays, when I see people like I see cigarette in the pot plants.
Why would you do that?
Exactly, and it's like why people don't think about it. But then in the process of stop smoking, I had like a time I was like off cigarette, and I just see cigarette everywhere, and we used to get frustrated. And then like I had a fall back and a relapse and into the smoking, and then like 3 weeks or 2 months later, is me flicking cigarette is everywhere on the side of the road. I'm like, and I was like, what am I doing? But why am I doing it? Like they like taking consciousness, like this is the things that irritate me the most, but yet now I'm doing it, and I get some kind of weird pleasure out of it, like so it could be there is no probably explanation of why that happening, but like
I think there are all kinds of explanations, but we human organisms, it gets pretty complicated, and it becomes complex at some point as well.
It can be anything. I mean, like it's difficult to dig into that. So like instead of like dig into why, just give it up.
Yeah.
It's just...
Diego, I'm just aware of time, but yes. I feel like we could actually sit here and have a conversation over the next like couple of hours. Where can people find you? Social media, maybe support the Observatory Pasta Kitchen, or...
Well, you can support the Pasta Kitchen on the Pasta Kitchen. I think there is a web page. You can find us on Instagram and I think Facebook also. Ferdinando's Pizza is also on Instagram and Facebook. I'm very much hands-on, so try my best to be active on social media, but come to visit us, 205 Lower Road Observatory, for the pizza. And if you want to come volunteer at the Pasta Kitchen, I often say it's running every Wednesday from St. Michael's Church in St. Michael's Road Observatory, from the hall of the church, every Wednesday at 5 o'clock. The service is 5 o'clock to 6 in the evening. So come, feel inspired. If you have some time in your hand, if you have anything you want to share, if you're an artist of some sort, musician, poetry, if you like to bake and you have time in your hand and there's a little bit of extra cash or some treats you want to share with the kids or the adults, I often say just don't come to do what we do. Come and see and feel inspired and just like maybe, add to it or start it somewhere else, like, but come because it's always good to see people and see the diversity. That's where we are in OBS basically.
Excellent. Diego, thank you very much for coming today.
Thank
really
you.
Enjoyed
Thank
this.
you very much. Really appreciate it.